Okay. Alright, starting. Okay, cue the music. Hello everyone, this is Marlyonama, and welcome back to another Marly0Live podcast, even though this is not really live and it's being pre-recorded. And don't mind please disregard the monthly live stream podcast on the top corner of this card because there has been huge delays in my podcasts this time because to essentially make it monthly this year. And in fact, this is essentially what this episode is essentially about here. Now, part of the reason why this kept me from my August episode essentially went out the drain is because then I had LASIK, and also in the following previous month there were some other things going on here with my day job. Essentially, there's been kind of a hiccup with my with me switching jobs and me being acclimated, which has essentially cut into my schedule on making content, which has led to some problems. That is essentially the main focus here. And the big focus is that I will actually be transferring to a new YouTube channel. This YouTube channel will actually begin to close gradually as the new year and new decade comes forward. And part of the reason is because aside from the change in YouTube search algorithm that's making me lose viewership, and my convoluted upload schedule that's essentially not favoring me, because back when I got started doing this 10 years ago, and just before launching retrospective reviews and my other shows, the algorithm favored those with the most views and likes to dislike ratios on the top of the search results, and now it's upload schedule and content relevancy. And this has sadly, of course, contributed to a loss of subscribers, which is the main focus of the leading problem. Now, I will get to the COPPA section that YouTube is partnering with just a second here, but the main reason is another bigger problem. It says YouTube says it can delete your account if you're not commercially viable. Now, commercially viable, meaning that your videos do not generate enough money. And this is a problem for small YouTubers who have monetization disabled. Now, my YouTube account isn't viable because my channel is too small right now, because I'm not eligible for monetization, which essentially means that unless it's promoting a product or something or generating ad revenue, then it can just delete it. Which is why I am actually starting all over again on a brand new YouTube channel called Marly0Media Studios. You can see the link to it in the content description below. And you can also see why my channel art and branding is gone. It's all part of the transition process. And right now it's actually trying to right now the Marly0Media Studio channel is actually going to essentially promote branded content to make it viable, and of course regrow the viewer base that I had since lost due to the revamping search algorithm. Because back when I started this YouTube channel in college, I was able to make a lot of money through ad revenues purely from views and likes and comments. But now times have changed and I have to adapt. Now, what does this mean for my current content? Well, I am planning to essentially wrap up retrospective reviews here. I've actually have two more retrospective review episodes currently planned, and that is it. They will be as follows. They will be of Ultraviolet and New Year's Eve. Before airing a top 10 and top 20 videos of my best and worst moments on that channel. But they're all going to be on the new Marlio Media studio channel. And yeah. And I will also be re-uploading some new some old videos from this channel onto the new channel for to preserve the awesomeness of what my old viewers have enjoyed. Because it may have some critics despite the dislikes and stuff like that, and I'm also going to reconfigure them and edit them to essentially better quality and whatnot. I'm talking about my old Digimon reviews, my old Titanic reviews, and the very first Magic Island review that I did way back then. That I will essentially re-upload again to the new channel while this old channel is going to be shut down, winding down a bit. Because it says, the section titled Account and Suspension Termination. This is from Mashable. I don't know how credible this site is, but I'm actually taking this desperate measure just in case this channel is targeted. So it's better off to just save your content and flee elsewhere in case you're a target. In most basic terms, YouTube isn't making money off you. The company can delete your account. The platform's current terms of service do not include this language. YouTube is updating, do not include this language, essentially. And not only that, there's rumors that it could affect all Google accounts, including your Google Drive, which is what I rely most on for storage. And it says under the new terms of service, YouTube is updating their terms of service on December 10th, 2019. People, that is only a few weeks away. It presents an awful possibility for the future of creators on the platform. It seems it will be able to terminate your channel if it's no longer commercially viable. Last week, notifying the site's new terms of service, YouTube stated sending an email to its users notifying them about this site's new terms of service, summarized the update as a way to make terms cleaner and easier to understand. Yet the new addition to its terms weren't mentioned in the email, and the wondering couldn't be any more vague. Now, whether this rumor is true or not, it's still best to essentially start over with a brand new channel from scratch that can be more adapted to the YouTube search algorithm, and hopefully to create my products that I'm selling on Marlio Media's website here. So I'm mainly using the new backup channel as a promotional stuff for the site that me and my fiance and future husband are making money off of apart from our day jobs. A generous read from these terms can be seen as YouTube giving itself the ability to remove users and channel that dismantle hate speech as well as violent rhetoric, which they've technically already done, including, and can also cross into the most popular YouTubers out there. I'm talking about you, Logan Paul, who filmed himself in front of a corpse in the suicide forest. For example, an account that starts creating a white supremacist content can be deemed as no longer commercially viable. Now, commercially viable is a very broad term here. And I think it's best to start, I think many of you, small YouTubers that are struggling to get a play button or even be eligible for monetization, may need to switch gears here. And that's exactly what this channel is doing to preserve its content and and economic viability here. I may actually have to reconfigure my channel and my my YouTube to actually make my what people will consider really good videos to not be buried under the amount of trash there. Now, just because a video doesn't get much attention doesn't mean it's bad. That's just how the search algorithm works. I don't want them to be buried under the newly configured algorithm that will actually appeal to people who enjoy this type of content. So they're getting stuff like frauds and have business partnerships. It says channels with more. Okay, as the person on Twitter points out, this feels like yet another move from YouTube that plays favorites with its biggest, most profitable creators. Even though YouTube is essentially more of a hobby than a career for the most people, because most people who generate ad revenue nowadays do not generate money to live off of it. They mostly make money through branded stuff, like stuff they sell on the store, like t-shirts and iPhone cases. And now YouTube has since changed its monetization policies, where small channels cannot make money unless they have a Patreon donation and Patreon donation page or an online store actively selling their products. In fact, that's how I mostly made money off of this channel, was through my Patreon donations, which have recently since dried up, and sales from my Marlo Media store, which, by the way, you can check out if you'd like. And now we're going on to what a lot of YouTube creators are talking about, and that is COPPA. COPPA is essentially a monetization rule that's supposed to essentially point out whether video is geared towards children or not. And I'm talking about the 12 and under demographic. Because there's new YouTube FTC guidelines that that are essentially want online privacy to children 12 and under, since YouTube is primarily a site for those 13 and up, aka PG-13, and thus they do not want ads monetized on channels directed towards children. And in fact, they actually are now having a policy to where channels that violate COPPA can be terminated. Specifically those that are geared towards children. Which essentially means that if you don't mark all your videos or your channel as whether for kids or not for kids, there could be dire consequences here. Sorry, there's been a hiccup there. Now, Marlyonama and Marly Media essentially is not for kids. It's essentially a PG-13 channel by the type of language it produces here. Now, the character I play on there is not really me in general. That's just the character I play on the show, which I have 2 more episodes of in the works right now. Because essentially my schedule's gotten so busy, I no longer have the time to do the complex editing of long, comprehensive reviews that I used to back in college. And now the AdSense revenue and monetization rules have changed to where no one could really make a sizable income on AdSense through YouTube anymore unless they have a 1 million subscriber base, essentially, which is extremely rare. You can no longer make a decent income through the AdSense unless to where small YouTubers can no longer make a decent income through views alone through AdSense, essentially. And that's even if they do meet the minimum subscriber and viewership mark. They now mostly have to make up through that through Patreon donations. I mean, no small YouTuber's ever been able to do that since 2016, of course. In fact, when I was in college, that was when we had essentially a bad recession. That was essentially how that typically was my student job there. Now, the thing is, if YouTube targets my new channel, Marly Media Studios, where to now? Well, that's essentially what we're trying to figure out here. I really wish to preserve this content for you and many of the fans here. So, I will typically, I may typically have to host them on my site the old-fashioned way or find a new video hosting site. Either way, as long as I'm here, as long as you're following me, it can be preserved. Again, with all due respect, this is Marlyonama signing off from this channel one last time. Check out my new channel, Marly0Live Media Studios, in the description below. Or check out the website for more information. Thanks, and goodbye.